Children are the future of every society. A society that looks down on its children is planning to fail. In Nigeria, the lives of children sometimes are put at risk due to one insecurity or the other. As we prepare for this 2025 Children's Day in May 27th, 2025, Security Watch Africa brings to you the children of Nigeria to find out what the security agencies are doing, particularly the armed forces of Nigeria, what they are doing to protect their lives. Today in the studio, the children will take over the show. They'll be asking the eminent officers from the armed forces of Nigeria questions, which they will provide the answer. I'm sure at the end of the day, these brilliant and beautiful, handsome and beautiful children will be convinced of what the future holds for them in Nigeria. As our guests are already seated, in fact, to be frank, we are impressed because the armed forces of Nigeria, led by the General Christopher Gwabi Musa, is really poised towards ensuring that Nigeria is secured. And we also have, from the Nigerian Army, we have a team that is here because the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, is also working to make sure that Nigerians are protected. Seated in the middle with the immaculate white purity, it's no other than Commodore, of course, Navy Commodore Rotimi Oderemi. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. He's represented the Chief of Defense Staff in the studio today. We have there in my far right, Captain H.R. Manza. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio today. He's from the Department of Civil Military Affairs of the Nigerian Army. Also with him is Lieutenant I.D. Oberen. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, the children are here seated. To steer these children in this discussion is no other than Sonia. Sonia was here with us 2015 or thereabout when we also started the discussions with our children. So she'll be anchoring. We also have, and she's from Fontage International School, Abuja here. We have Michelle Osonia Edonoje, who is from the Lord's College in Nasarawa State. We have Nwachukwu Mitchell. Nwachukwu Mitchell, she's sitting down there. We have Victor Simon. They are from Blissville Private School in Kuba in Abuja. We have Okorobia Honor. She's here with her colleague from, they are from Charish Academy in Abuja here. Is Nandi. Okay, you are the Zaka. Okay, that is Nandi Akachuku. You are Zachariah John, I suppose. It's a pleasure to have you to ask questions from these officers. I am sure that you are all ready to ask them questions, and they will give you answers because they have the passion for the children. So the studio is for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say, please take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
morning,
much.
sir. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I would like to ask, what are the constitutional responsibilities of the armed forces of Nigeria?
What's your name?
Sonia.
Okay. Sonia, thank you very much for that question. I'll start by thanking the management of Dark Communications for this wonderful gesture. I'm indeed very happy to be here. Starting with Sonia's question. You know, the armed forces of Nigeria is the backbone of the defense system. I will try as much as possible to break it down to what you will understand. And the task has to do with protection of the sovereignty, defense of our territorial integrity, as well as protection of the citizens. So the armed forces of Nigeria consists of 3 services: the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And children, don't worry, we are still going to represent the Air Force. So any question that might want to lean towards the Air Force, we'll say, assure you that we are going to address it. Now, apart from the functions which they have been taxed by the Constitution, there are specific rules which are derived from the implied task. For the Nigerian Army, starting with the protection of our territories in terms of the land border areas, rendering necessary assistance during internal security operations. We've rendered some peacekeeping assistance, both internationally, under the Economic Community of West African States as well as the United Nations. And you are aware that there are different security challenges in each of our geopolitical zones. And we have our army deployments to address that. Now, to the Navy, we are tasked with the territorial defense of our waters and the entire maritime environment. We are also busy by ensuring that our sea lanes of communication, that means making the routes for goods and services to be free. In terms of protection against pirates, sea robbers, and others. Also, the Navy is also tasked with protection of offshore facilities. You know, we have oil and other strategic infrastructure at sea. We're also tasked with search and rescue operations at sea. For our brothers in the Nigerian Air Force, they are tasked with area surveillance, intelligence gathering, airlift, and also support of other services when we have joint operation. Now, in a joint system, when we consider the theater geometry, we work together. Each time the Navy is about to sea lift troop or equipment, we request for air cover to increase our horizon and give us necessary support. For the Army, in the conduct of operations, they need air support too. The Air Force could be used for deployment of their platforms to gather information, drones, and to commence bombardment in terms of fire support. You can see that it's combined. Thank you very much. Let me stop here. Go ahead. Any question?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Our wonderful hosts, distinguished guests, and viewers. My name is Victor Simon from Blizzville Private School. And my question is, how can a student who wants to be in the military prepare? What is required?
Thank you, Victor, for your question. So to join the armed forces, we have different types of commissions in the armed forces. That's for the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. We have the regular commission, which means when you're done with secondary school, you would apply to go to the Nigerian Defense Academy. We have the Direct Short Service Commission and the Short Service Commission. These two commissions are for graduates. So if you're done with secondary school, you've proceeded to the university, you've gotten your tertiary education and your degree, and you still wish to join the armed forces. The armed forces recruits professionals, lawyers, accountants, doctors, so you can still practice your profession in the armed forces. So if you want to do that, then you go for the Direct Short Service Commission or the Short Service Commission. And what is required for these three commissions basically is you must have minimum of 5 credits. Yes. First of all, in your WAEC exams, you must have a minimum of 5 credits, including maths and English. You must be of good behavior. You must have referees from your community, from your local government, and you must also have referees amongst the military. Senior members of the military would actually recommend you to join the military. You would go through a medical test. You go through physical tests to show that you are fit enough to join the Nigerian Army. So like I said, you can join, if you're done with your secondary education, you want to be a regular officer, you go to NDA for 5 years. That's available. Then if you're done with secondary school and you still proceed to university, you can still join to practice your profession in the military under the Direct Short Service Commission or the Short Service Commission. The difference between Direct Short Service Commission and Short Service Commission is for Direct Short Service Commission, that is for professionals, like I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
So you've gotten your degree and you want to practice your profession in the military. While the Short Service Commission, you've gotten your degree, but you still want to fight, you still want to join the military as a combatant.
Okay.
So you're a graduate, but you still want to join the military as a combatant regardless.
Oh.
So you go for the Short Service Commission. Thank you.
Good afternoon, viewers. I'm Michelle Eden Oje. I'm 10 years old, a student of the Lord's College in Nasarawa. I have this question to ask. Sir, every day we hear about attacks and killings. What is the security agencies, the military, doing to stop it?
Okay, thank you, Michelle, for your question. Before I commence, please let me mention this. I bring compliments and goodwill from the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General O.O. Oluyede, Nigerian Army Medal, and officers and men of the Nigerian Army. In response to your question, Michelle, because we are dealing with an enemy that is an adversary that is faceless and always try to hide in ungodly places from where they operate to come and perpetrate this mayhem and attacks on the civilians. It behoves on us as an armed forces to evolve with a new form of training that will counter this activity, mostly perpetrated by these enemies. These heinous crimes cut across kidnapping, kidnapping people for ransom and attacking, killing people here and there. Yes, of course, what the Nigerian Army and the armed forces in general are doing now is we're coming up with strategies and trainings that would embolden our men to be able to face this evolving and trending global security challenge, which is called in the military operationally asymmetric warfare. In asymmetric warfare, the enemy always is faceless. The enemy is always hidden. The enemy tries to seep and get into the same civilians that we're trying to protect. So it's always very important for the civilians also to work with the military, give us timely intelligence. It's a whole of a society approach because security is a shared responsibility, not just for the military alone or the police. It's a whole of a society approach, so we require the civilians to also ensure timely intelligence, giving us information when they know when you see something, say something. As children, you'll be playing outside and you will notice something untoward, somebody acting somehow. You don't trust such a person. Try to say something to an elderly person when you see something that you don't trust. But by and large, the military in particular has deployed men in almost all the geopolitical zone of the country. We have several deployments to ensure immediate and efficient response to all security challenges. And the President Commander-in-Chief, of course, through his instrumentality, new platforms have been provided for the military to ensure adequate response to this form of criminalities that we always hear, like you mentioned, every now and then. And then, like I said, it's a whole of a society approach, so we require information from the society to ensure that we will take adequate action. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nadia Akashku from Pocharis Academy, Gudu District. My question goes like this. What are the measures put in place to combat insecurity in underdeveloped and rural communities?
Okay, Nadi, thank you for your question. Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, your question is closely related to that of Michelle. Of course, to ensure that we tackle all these insecurity issues, like I earlier mentioned, it's a whole of society approach. We will need the civilians to actually give us information. Like I said, the adversary always find their way back into the society, and somehow they dwell right amidst the civilians that we're supposed to protect. And then it becomes a bit difficult. But once the information is readily available and timely given to us, the military will always swing into action and pick such perpetrators of those heinous crimes and ensure safety and ensure safety for the civilians. and will provide a conducive environment for you, the children, to learn and grow as future leaders. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. You keep mentioning civilians, but I don't think the civilians are aware of who to call when they see something unorthodox. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of the police number in Nigeria. I only know 911. So what are the armed forces doing to create more awareness of what you do and how you execute what you do?
Okay, thank you. Sonia, right? Thank you for that. Yes, the Armed Forces of Nigeria, I could confidently and boldly say, particularly the Nigerian Army, we have set up, because we know that the civilians are actually, the society is key to ensuring that we combat these crimes efficiently. We have a department that is in charge of most of this awareness on issue of how we go about relating with the civilians. At the Army Headquarters, we have the Army Headquarters Department of Civil Military Affairs, and the department is responsible for conduct of social media seminars. We conduct sensitization workshops. At the media seminars and chats, mostly we interact with civilians and we provide them platforms and a number, I think 193 is a dial code that you can dial and report any other kind of thing that you see, including any form of act, allegations, or any form of untoward action by even military personnel. You can call and report such happenings, and I can assure you, we always take log of these calls, we compile the reports, and we forward them accordingly to the Army Headquarters, where it will be processed and be treated accordingly. So the Nigerian Army in particular, of which all of the other two services have also taken cue from there, and they are robustly ensuring that the civil military relations department or branch, as it may be in the other service, they ensure that they disseminate the information to the civilians as to how you report these occurrences in order for the military to respond. But please have it at the back of your mind. The civil authorities, through the instrumentality of the police, are the first responders to internal security matters. It is only when these things are overwhelmingly beyond the capabilities of the civil police that the Nigerian Army will come in. But that doesn't mean that the military will just fold hands and see civilians just dying or suffering. So our response is always adequate. We have mediums and channels, particularly in the military, through which you could call and lodge these complaints. Thank you.
Let me add to that. He talked about the civil-military relations. It's a department that is tasked to break the ice, to make the military more friendly, operating in the non-kinetic line of operation. What I mean, everything is not gone, right? When you talk of communities, we reach out. Most of the time, operational commanders are tasked with the responsibilities of going to the grassroots. For example, things like medical rhapsody, which is an avenue for the military to reach out beyond the official lines. It's an avenue where target communities are reached, especially those in need of medical attention. Some of them might not have access to the city, right? So things like medication, glasses, and what have you. And there are some ailments that could not be attended to during the rhapsody, referrals, and things like that. Bearing in mind that it's an avenue to create closeness for us to gather intelligence. At the same time, there are community heads, right? And people that exchange numbers. These days we have a WhatsApp, right? You have your mobile line. You could reach out to individuals. Apart from that, some selected schools are visited. Instructional materials, books, and others are given to make the military more friendly, right? To win the hearts, because if you are sure that when information is passed to us, your confidentiality is assured. And we even prefer to have actionable intelligence, not for the fun of it, right? So these are avenues of reaching out to the locals. And it has to be timely to enable us to be proactive towards preventing untoward incidents. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, good day, our wonderful guests, viewers. Once again, my name is Wachuku Michelle from Blisville Private School, also known as Kingsspring International Academy, Arab Road, Kubwa, Abuja. Given the frequent cases of school abductions and threats to education due to attacks, what long-term security architecture is put in place to protect students and schools?
Thank you for your question, Michelle. So due to these attacks, the military started siting our forward operation bases. Those are camps close to educational facilities to enable quick response in case of these attacks. The military also works closely with the police, with other paramilitary like the civil defense for synergy, so that in case these attacks occur, we can respond quickly. We also patrol these facilities at night, especially schools that have boarding facilities. We make sure we patrol these areas at night. We site our men around those areas so as to deter criminals who want to attack these facilities and also to enable us respond quickly in case of any attacks. We also go to these schools. We educate students about security and how it's important for all of us to play a vital role. Educate students on how they should be vigilant, what they should look for. So these are some of the measures that we've put in place to deter these attacks and to respond quickly in case of these attacks.
Good day, Stars and Ma'am. I'm Christian Zakara from Plocharis Academy. So I would like to ask, what ways do you think children can enhance and promote your efforts towards fighting insecurity in Nigeria?
Okay, Zakaria, thank you. So like I just said, security is a shared responsibility. I think that's the first mindset we all need to have. Security should not be left for the security forces alone. We all need to play a vital role. As simple as being vigilant, observe your environment. When you notice anything that looks suspicious, take note of it and report it immediately. For example, if you notice a particular vehicle has been sighted along your school for repeatedly, you notice suspicious-looking people sighted around your school or not just school, your houses, just pay attention to what is happening around you. And immediately you notice anything suspicious, inform your classmates, your colleagues, and also inform school authorities so they can now call the appropriate authorities to respond. So that's the role we have to play. Let's all be security conscious. Let's all be vigilant when we're at schools, at homes. Whatever we see that is suspicious, do not dismiss it. If you know the steps to take, you take it to somebody who will probably know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Being the last and not the least question, I would first of all like to applaud and commend the Nigerian Armed Forces for their role in keeping Nigeria safe. If not for your work, we probably wouldn't be here today. And even if we were here, we wouldn't be living in such a comfortable environment. And to this, I give you my last question, which is, what measures are being taken to prevent the spread of insurgency in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for appreciating us. I think being the last question, it's an avenue for all of us to pour out, right? So I think I can take the lead.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that wonderful question, because your question is like summation of all the questions we have attended to so far. So I will start with various lines of operation. For example, to prevent it, we start with the kinetics, which has to do with the physical deployment of troops to flashpoints based on intelligence gathering. You see roadblocks, you see checkpoints, and what have you. And you see deployment of troops for quick response. Another line has to do with non-kinetic, which I've just told you, has to do with winning the hearts and minds of the host communities. As you use, this time around, we've gone to the extent of using religious leaders, right? Community heads and others that can be influential towards the psyche of the insurgents. Apart from that, I will comment the media because the media has been able to reach out beyond the official lines to these communities. This is an example of that. In terms of coverage and reporting of our actions and our achievements, apart from that, you can see this is a form of awareness to catch you people young, to know about security issues, who to report to, what you look out for, and how to go about it. Again, we have the economic line too. For those that are idle, once they are gainfully employed, either in skill acquisition or trade, right? They become better people that can contribute towards the economic development and security.
We're talking about how the media creates more awareness of the armed forces and what they do, but we also know that the media has like a lot of, online scams and dupes of people. So I want to know, what are the major cybersecurity threats facing Nigeria and how can they be mitigated?
Thank you for your question. Security is encompassing. In the armed forces, we have our intelligence department, right, that monitors most of the activities within the cyber domain. So the details of the operation I will not be privy to give you here, but I assure you that we have a department tasked that monitors issues that are grievous or that might cause serious breach of security to the country. The armed forces are tracked there and addressed accordingly. So I think I'll stop there.
My name is Victor Simon from Blisville Private School, also known as Kingsbury International Academy. Governor Zulum from Borno State recently said some politicians and soldiers are secretly supporting Boko Haram. How does this betrayal affect safety of children, especially in schools, and what is being done to protect them?
You know that in conflict-prone areas, there are so many mishaps. Some of the parents are killed, some of the awards are scattered, right, and exposed to various vices. For example, there can never be development in conflict areas, right? So, and the implication falls back to children. For example, education, lifestyle. We are celebrating Children's Day here, right? Which has to do with the rights and welfare of the children. So these are the implications on the children, who are supposed to be future leaders. Security is very, very essential. Security determines other parameters of development, especially on children. Your growth, the opportunity, the employment opportunity of your wards, seeing your family, missing of loved ones, hardship, and a lot of others. So these are the areas that insecurity will affect the children.
Governor Zulum from Borno State recently said some politicians and soldiers are secretly supporting the Boko Haram.
Yes.
My question was, how does this betrayal affect the safety of children, especially those in schools, and what is being done to protect them?
So thank you for the question. Of course, the first aspect of your question that has to do with betrayal, right?
Yes, sir.
By
The politicians and...
Yes, you have to have credible intelligence. The specifics are, you are saying politician, is general. You need to be more specific. You get what I'm saying? If XXX is directly responsible for sponsoring maybe preparation of arms, right?
Yes.
Equipment, yes, let's have such person. Such person will be profiled by the security agencies. That is why we have various security agencies to profile and take necessary action in terms of arrest and prosecution. Right? We don't believe in hearsay or generalizing. You have to give me specifics. So if such person is taken out, necessary action will be meted on such. The military don't act on general statements. No. Credible evidence, credible intelligence. Such person can be tracked, right?
Yes.
And the necessary ingredients to prosecute will be necessary before that person is handed over to the prosecuting agency. So I only want to address the aspect that has to do with the suffering on the children, which I addressed earlier. So when you're talking of security, please, you need to get the facts right. You need to give us actionable intelligence to enable us act and hand over such people when arrested to the security agencies. We don't do guesswork.
With IPOB's sit-at-home orders and violent attacks on those who disobey, many children in the Southeast miss school frequently. How are security agencies working to protect children's rights to education in this region?
Thank you for your question. Like earlier highlighted, the issue of security, particularly ensuring a safe and secured environment for children to learn, it's a shared responsibility throughout the community. But unfortunately, communities have standards where they operate with. And if these standards are in any way either wrong before the law of the Federation, then such laws cannot be enforced. However, for your own security also as children, we also advise that if there are skirmishes or any kind of unrest within a community and it's required of you to stay back home, then the responsibility now shifts to your parents to ensure that that part of your curriculum that you are missing should also be taken all over again to ensure that you catch up with what you have missed. Because it will be very bad on the side of your parents to allow you to just like go into a situation where you end up being abducted or you get caught in the crossfire of let's say, operational engagement between the members of the armed forces or any other non-state actor. So it's important that we ensure we act within the scope of limitations as provided by the military in the conduct of operations, and to ensure that when you have actionable information, you share it with us and we act on them accordingly.
IPOB has declared sit-at-home orders and said that children should not go to school on social dates for some reasons.
Yes.
Are there any plans or strategies that are being put into place to ensure that those orders, those sit-at-home orders are being broken and that students can go to school freely? Because the impression that it's giving is that even for children, education, which is a basic right, is not safe. So are there any strategies that are put in place to ensure that those orders are being broken?
I think it will be more of a political leadership that will handle that aspect, not the military or security agencies. It's illegal for IPOB to declare sit-at-home.
Yes.
Okay, it's the political reasons why they are agitating in the first instance.
Yes.
So it's the responsible of the political leaders to work out a way to ensure that that sit-at-home is not respected. It's not the military or the other security forces. Theirs is to enforce law and not to mediate in issues of disagreement. I think that should be the answer to your question.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask, just like Victor asked earlier, about military personnel aiding the Boko Haram and other bandits. So what necessary measures are you taking to build the trust and confidence of children on the military?
I observe that most of the responsibilities are lumped on the military. And I'm glad our host answered one, a typical example of the responsibility of another line. In terms of security, please, we have the military, which is one line of operation. You have the political angle. You have the economic angle. You have the media, right?
Yes, sir.
So at this level, you need to understand that not everything belongs to the... You have the communication aspect. Yes, not everything military. Okay? Now, he asked a question about a soldier that...
Yeah.
Soldiers aiding.
Aiding. Yes, that's a grievous offense against the nation. And I'll still leave that one for the lawyer to trash. That's serious sabotage to the nation. So any soldier involved in such acts, once that soldier is arrested, that soldier will be profiled, necessary investigation will be conducted, and according to the military line, sanctions will be taken appropriately.
So just like Commander Rotimi said, where such offences are brought to the attention of the military, where we have personnel who are aiding the enemy, investigations will be carried out, appropriate investigations will be carried out, recommendations will be made, and sanctions will be meted out. The military has our court-martials. We have the military justice system. We have a court-martial system that responds appropriately to those kind of offenses. Those kind of offenses are serious offenses, and they are not taken lightly by the military authorities. So we have soldiers who, it has been discovered, are carrying out such activities. Investigations are carried out, and appropriate sanctions are being meted out. So this goes to reassure. You asked about how the people who how to build trust. Yes. Yeah, so there was something Sonia said at the beginning of this interview. She asked, she said that a lot of people don't know what the military does and how to reach out to us in cases. So we know that that has been a problem, and that's why the military has, over the years, gotten closer to the people. It's one of the non-kinetic approaches that Captain Mamza mentioned. We have a lot of sensitization workshops now. We have a lot of media chats just like this to bring the military closer to the people, to let them know that we hear you. We are the people's army. We are here for you. We are here to protect you, to bring back this trust of the people in the military. We even have programs for school kids. If you haven't attended any of our programs, I'm sure very soon you will attend some too. So these are the measures that we're taking to bring the awareness of the military, to bring the awareness of what we do, to bring the awareness. A lot of people don't even know, did not know before that our department exists, Department of Civil Military Affairs in the Nigerian Army. To let them know that this is what our department does. We have radio programs, we go on, so many things, so people can meet personnel, ask questions, seek clarifications. So these are just an example of things we do to instill trust, to bring back the people's trust, and to increase the trust they have in the military. Thank you.
Excuse me. I have 3 questions to ask. And firstly, the question I want to ask first is what does your military job entail?
Okay, thank you for your question. Military job entails a whole lot of sacrifice. The military, the armed forces of Nigeria are actually a very great source of pride to the nation and West Africa as a region. It takes a whole lot of commitment and patriotism to be in the military because by your oath and by the oath of allegiance that you have sworn as a military personnel, you accept that your life will be subjected to certain perpetual constraint. You might be dislocated from your normal form of normal routine in life, whereby you could be tasked to move from a particular place and go to another place where you less think you're going to be there. But it's expected of you as a military personnel to really march and go even against your will. You have to stand some certain post, even when you know that where I'm standing, I might end up paying the supreme price. So it takes a whole lot of commitment, but it's something that I can tell you we are very patriotic and proud to always do. And we encourage people to really give it a shot. You have a whole lot of career before you when you join the military. It's not really just all about joining the military to wear the uniforms or the regalias we have, which is attractive, yes, fine. But it has a whole lot of things embedded in it. So it requires sacrifice, commitment, dedication, which I can tell you that every single officer and soldier of the armed forces that you see does this with pride. That is why you find us jumping into harm's way, being deployed in the various theater of operations to ensure a safe and conducive environment for Nigerians. But we know that the security challenges are enormous, and the Nigerian military is stretched. It's a fact, but we are doing our best to ensure that we give you guys a safe and conducive environment to learn and grow and develop into the leaders that you are. Thank you.
What's the common crime you military people deal with?
Within the military or out of the military?
Within and out.
Okay, you want to know both?
There are many.
There are a lot.
A lot.
because going forward now to go into teaching aspect of it, you know, military crimes are actually not the common crimes you find out there in the civil palace,
Yes.
right? For instance, something called absence without leave in the military. When you go to the civil palace, you will not tell somebody that you're absent without leave. So such a thing is one of the rampant things we experience in the military, absence without leave. Soldiers, like I told you, there's a perpetual constraint where you would be ordered to move to a particular place, and sometimes certain persons take certain measures that will end up being against the laws, infractions against our laws. So you're supposed to be in a particular place, and you will not leave that place until you're permitted to do so. But when you leave such a place without permission, you are absent from your place of duty. So such offenses are offenses that occur in the military, but you can't find them in the civil palace. In the civil palace, we deal a lot with issue of those unscrupulous elements in the civil populace that always try to support those people that are on defense, people that want to still give information to the enemy and still form to be neutral citizens. Like I said, the enemy always seep into the society, into the very civil populace that we seek to protect. So, but we need people to come forth with the information. Unfortunately, certain persons collude with these people and they don't really give the information. And then also in civil palace, we have issue of impersonation, a lot of it. You see somebody who wear military uniform and say he's a military personnel because unfortunately, people seem to have a bit of some of the security agencies are a bit complacent when it comes to enforcing certain things. So once somebody wears that uniform and they'll just say, okay, he's a military personnel, allow him access. So those people always try to impersonate, form to be military personnel when they are not. So these are some of the examples of the offenses and issues that we have that I could just give to you for your understanding.
Lastly, what advice can you give to young ones who wants to work in security when they grow up?
Please, can I add to that question?
Okay.
And how, as a lady or woman, did you explain to your family that you wanted to work in the military?
Say again?
As a lady, as a woman,
Yes.
how did you tell your family that you wanted to work in the military?
Thank God we have
So
Lieutenant
she's
Isaac
going to
Barrett.
address the
She
lady
will
aspect.
respond
I
to
can
that.
start. For you to be in the military, the first requirement has to do with you. Were you forced? Voluntarily? If you wish to join the military, let it be voluntary. That's the first requirement. You must be hardworking, dedicated. You must be determined. Right? So those are the guiding principles. Of course, at this level, we expect you to read your books. You don't condone indiscipline. Be proactive at home. Do your necessary house call. Be available for parents to send you. Don't grumble. Don't complain. These are the attributes we expect to see in you when you come into the military. For the lady, she has I think you are very fortunate to have a seasoned officer that can tell you herself. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. So thank you for your question. I like your question because there's this misconception that working in security is meant for men. It is male dominated, but it doesn't mean it's for men alone. This is 2025. We should throw we should throw those kind of mindsets and misconception in the past. So I will tell you my own story. So when I was telling you about ways you can join the military, I told you there are different kinds of commission. You could go to NDA after secondary school, or you could finish university and then apply for the Direct Short Service Commission. I'm a Direct Short Service Commission officer. I went to university, I studied law, then I went to law school, I went for National Youth Service, then I applied to join the Army. Now, this was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to join the Army after secondary school. I wanted to go to the NDA for 5 years and be a regular combatant. But I had the issue of explaining to my family and letting them accept my decision. My mother was adamant that no, her daughter can't join the military because she didn't see it as work for a lady. But so I couldn't join after secondary school. I had to go to the university. And while in university, I learned about the Short Service Commission, and I said, okay, this is what I'm still going to do. So I had to satisfy my mother and still get a university degree after university, I told her I still want to do this. What helped me was the fact that I have military people in my family who were able to convince my parents and say, okay, if this is what she wants to do, let her do it. So it's not easy because, like I said, people still have that mindset that this is the job for men. It's not a job for men. If you're really determined in whatever you want to do, whether as a man or as a woman, you will achieve it. Talk to your family. At the end of the day, your family would not want you to be in a profession that you're not satisfied with, that will not give you satisfaction. Yes. So please don't give up on your dreams because of family pressure. I went to school. After school, my mom thought I had forgotten about it. When she saw that after school, this is still what you want to do, she had no choice but to let me do it. So insist on your aspirations. Give them examples. Like, oh, I know this person. I know this woman in the military. I know this person in the police. I know this person and wherever. Cite examples to them. Let them know that this is where your heart is, and that security work is not for men. Women are breaking barriers in every aspect of every profession. Nothing is left for the men alone right now. Thank you.
Okay. That should be our last question.
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah.
As the last question, we've been talking about what the military does to help the citizens. But now I want to ask you if there are ways that you suggest we as children or young citizens can help you in your work. What can we do to promote your efforts towards combating insecurity in Nigeria?
That's a very good question. At least finally the military has seen some people wishing to support us. We start by supporting us with information through the dedicated lines, right? The various armed forces and security agencies have dedicated lines for information sharing. And you help us to be hardworking, to be disciplined, to be committed to your studies, right? To listen to what your parents say. For example, these days, the in thing for children are maybe into internet fraud, right? And all sorts of drugs and others. So you need to desist from such and be a typical example of good children to your parents. That is the beginning, right? You have to start from home. So if every child can be committed and can cherish the family name, I think it will go a long way towards reducing our stress. Everything the military. At least when you generation know what is at stake and you know that you are future leaders, then there will be less problem for the military. Everybody will focus on nation development, right? I think that will help us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. To address the question that Sonia earlier asked, I was giving it a thought, then I came up with I noticed that I actually know what she was she's getting at, issue of cyber crimes and what are the mechanisms in the military to combat this. Of course, the prevalent cyber crimes that we have mostly has to do with internet frauds, and particularly as it affects military operation are propagandas by the adversary. Such propagandas as publishing of videos that shows either gruesome killing of service personnel or abduction and killing of civilians. So to combat this particular act, the military has the Defense Space Agency, and in the Nigerian Army we have the Nigerian Army Cyber Warfare Command. Now these two outlets are responsible for checkmating all these things. We do a kind of a counter propaganda and also try to trace, mostly from those videos and pictures posted, to be able to trace and know their sources. And I can assure you through these platforms, a lot of kingpins have been picked and the necessary action has been taken on them. So to that your particular question, actually there are measures in the military to combat cyber crimes, particularly as it affects military operation. Also for learning purposes, the first question you asked adequately dealt with, but I'll highlight. Constitutionally, Section 217 of the 1999 Constitution provides for the establishment of the armed forces. We said there should be armed forces for the Federation consisting of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. Subsection 2 of that section goes ahead to provide for the roles of the armed forces. So if you read, you see them there, where to defending Nigeria from external aggression, maintaining its territorial integrity, and stopping all kind of violation, either on land, sea, or air. And then we're to make sure that we react to insurrections and restore normalcy in air to civil authority, and perform such other functions that might be we might be taxed to do by the Act of National Assembly. So by and large, generally, a synopsis of what we have been telling you here is that the issue of security, particularly as it comes to the whole security of the country, is a shared responsibility. So we also need you, children, to ensure that you please give us information so that we'll be able to act accordingly. The military is the people's military. It's being peopled by every other, all people from throughout the geopolitical zone of Nigeria. It's not just a particular sect. So everybody is represented. It's a people's military, and we are going to definitely ensure that we protect the people from where our powers and sources of revenue come from. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, I don't know. I'm sure you've gotten enough of the answers you need for your questions.
Yes.
Do you still have any doubts? I'm sure you know what the military is all about now. And when you hear the military, Nigeria is actually the armed forces of Nigeria, and they are representing the armed forces of Nigeria. So you can see, though we have the Nigeria Police Force, we have various other security agencies, but the military are charged to do specific assignment, which he just told you. But maybe as a Commander, maybe there's a final remark. I don't know who will just say something on behalf of the general, not just these children here in the studio, but all over Nigeria that seek leadership today.
Thank you very much. I'll start by still thanking DAC Communications for creating this opportunity. Let me thank the wonderful children once more. And I think I need to thank the armed forces too now. Yes, it has been very interactive, and I know that we have exchanged ideas. Much have been learned, and I know that there are doubts yet to be cleared. Our lines are open. Well, the military will still hand over to you, next generation. For those that are determined, that have identified problems that needs attention, please, it's not too early. Start that. I will still reassure you that the military will continue to serve Nigeria loyally, to make sure that our territorial integrity is upheld, right? To create an environment where development and economic activities will thrive. That is our role, and we are still reassuring you people, right? And we expect much from you too. That's why we are catching you young. So we expect to see some of you in the military very soon. Are you assuring us?
Yes, sir.
Of course, we want the best. Once again, I thank you for this opportunity. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Commander Rotimi Oderemi, and thank you, Captain J.R. Manza and Lieutenant I.D. Oberen. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio, and I thank you, the future of Nigeria. Indeed, you are the future of Nigeria, and this is a good way to begin your future by understanding what responsibility you have ahead of you. It's not just the security agencies or the government that will provide security for you. The citizens have also their own role to play. The children have their role to play, like you've heard them say. We have what we call security ambassadors also, children security ambassadors, who help to preach the issue of security all over Nigeria, to help educate our society. Because if your parents are getting it wrong and a child can say, no, daddy, is this you're supposed to do? The daddy may think twice, or mommy, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what the law says, you know. But sometimes we don't know, and so we don't relate. I know, like, they're also giving some dedicated lines. You can share it with your school and other children. You can know, and we'll share it on this program for other people to get make benefit use of those numbers. And I want to inform you, children, that the Armed Forces of Nigeria, the Defense Headquarters, and the Nigerian Army are so gracious to give you some gifts, some things that will be quite remarkable for you, that you always remember this day, and maybe that will make you to think about being one of them tomorrow in future. So it's something of joy to be part of this, and I thank you, SARS and the Nigerian forces, who indeed is that of Nigerians, because like I always say, the Nigerian forces is for Nigerians and by Nigerians, so we need to support what they are doing. So I thank you, everyone, our viewers. I thank you for watching this program. I'm sure that next year we'll also have a Children's Day a session that will be maybe larger than this, but you can see how interactive it is today. Until next week, we'll say thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.